Hi, I'm Una. You're very welcome to my channel. I was watching an Altenew blog hop on the publication of their painted flower poppy set, and I remembered that I had a poppy layering set in my stash that I bought in the Netherlands last year when I was visiting my son. So I decided to root it out and have a go with it myself. I did two styles of card, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm using Nina Classic Crest Solar White card to stamp on, and this is the layering set. Each of the poppies has 4 layers and the leaf clusters have 3. And I decided to use the style they use on the packaging, just slightly reversed. So I lay out my stamps and in my Misty stamping tool, which is a very useful tool because I have to double stamp everything in this. The stamps aren't of great quality. They feel quite flimsy, and this didn't turn out to be a problem at all. Once I double stamped, everything was absolutely fine. The inks I'm using are Altenew Ruby Red and Memento Love Letter. Love Letter for the base and then Ruby Red for the second layer. Now you can see the stamps are quite flimsy and they stained quite badly, but again, not a problem if you don't mind that sort of thing. I use Memento Tuxedo Black for the outlines and then take a Copic multi-liner to fix anything where the stamping wasn't quite right. The centres of the poppies that come in this stamp set really bring the flowers to life. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then I touch up the centre with a white jelly roll pen. I use frayed leaf from Altenew for the flower stems for the base layer. And I again stamp everything twice. The Misty is so useful in circumstances where you need to stamp and re-stamp. The second layer is Forest Glades from Altenew and adds lovely depth and definition. To make a stem for the second poppy, I use a piece from the set and mark it with the Copic multi-liner to show me what bit of it I need to apply ink to, and then I use a Spectrum Noir pen to bring it down to the base of the leaves, and another Spectrum Noir pen to add shadows. It wasn't a perfect match for Forest Glades, so I just put dibs and dabs all over the leaf clusters to make it all match up. And using Memento Tuxedo Black again for the outlines, I double stamp. This time I take a Staedtler 0.05 point to do the outlining. This pen was perfect for adding the outlines. And so I'm happy with that, and I move on by selecting a piece with a square die. This is a square set that I bought in the works here in Ireland, and take it away to my Gemini Junior to cut it out. Use double-sided tape to adhere it to a green panel. I matted on this green cardstock because I thought it looked really pretty, and use liquid glue to adhere to my card base. Now I had started sticking on the embellishments when I remembered I hadn't stamped a sentiment, so I took this little set out of my stash and used the Forever Grateful. I snipped that stamp in two so that I could use it in a vertical formation, and just checking on a piece of card there that it was going to stamp straight. I was then able to stamp it 3 times on the card base. I adhered some gems, and I used a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen to add some glimmer, and the shine it gives is really nice. I think you can see it there when I tilt it to the camera. This Crafter's Companion watercolour paper that I'm using, it has a cold pressed bumpy finish on it, so I stamped it 3 times to get a good image, and I used archival ink because that's waterproof. And I used the Copic multi-liner again to draw in an extra leaf down at the bottom where there was a gap, and to draw in the stem. I smooshed some abandoned coral distress ink onto my glass mat, and I water that down and then start painting. First I apply a flat wash to both of the flowers. I'm not doing any shading for starters, I'm just, like I say, applying a completely flat wash. But then I go back in and start applying shadows. And I was using the abandoned coral again, but it wasn't giving me the depth of colour that I wanted, so I switched to barn door. And this was much better. I used the stamp, the little lines on the stamp image as much as possible to guide me as to where I should apply shadows, where there might be petals overlapping, or where there might be a crease in a petal, or just where there might be shadows in general. I really liked the way it turned out. I enjoyed painting this flower so much. I checked the packaging when I started the second one, but I didn't really use it as a guide. I just followed my instinct and used and put the shadows where I thought they should be, and then brought back in the abandoned coral again to give a second layer to the centre of the flower. I used mustard seed to paint the centres, and then used my heat tool to dry it. I used the centres in the stamp set to stamp the centres of the poppies, because the centres were so pretty. I didn't think there was any point in trying to paint them. Frayed leaf is the ink that I used for the base layer of the stems, the leaf stems, and then I use mowed lawn for the shadows. The brush I'm using is a Daler Rowney No. 5 round, and I really like this particular brush because the tip goes into a very fine point, and that's really important when you're watercolouring small images, that you can do precise detail. Mustard seed again for the head of the poppy seed and the centres of the flowers. I brought back in some barn door again, just to add more depth to the shadows. And when I was satisfied that that was finished, I matted it on green card again, and this time decided to bring out my Gansai Tambi Starry colours, some metallic golds, and I added some splatters with 2 different shades of the gold. There's 2 of the darker shades, and just masked off the bottom right hand corner where I went in with a lighter gold shade. I just liked the idea of a transition around the sentiment, which I stamped with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So here's a closer look at the card. I think this is my favourite. I really enjoyed creating it, and I think it looks beautiful. And I like this other one too. There's something crisp and clean about it, and I like the sparkle that the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen gave to the flowers. So that's both of the cards for today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. That's really important for the success of my channel. I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I would be delighted if you would leave me a comment, and I'd get back to you as soon as I possibly can. All the best for now. Thank you so much for being with me today. Bye.